Good morning, I'm Audrey Castoreno. It's 8:55 and here's your morning rush. A crash on Interstate 35 traps a driver upside down in his vehicle. While trying to merge, the driver of a maroon car collided with a white car on the interstate near Splashtown. Now, police say the impact caused the driver to lose control. The white car rolled multiple times. That driver went to the hospital with serious injuries. Now, firefighters had to rescue the man in the maroon vehicle. He's at BAMC in critical condition. There's growing concern across Bexar County as the number of coronavirus cases continues to surge. As of this morning, there are 274 new cases in Bexar County, bringing the total to more than 7,000. The virus has killed 97 people in our area. Masks are now a requirement at all Bexar County businesses for customers and employees. Now, the executive order says the time period is limited to June 30th, but the order can be extended. There are some exceptions to this rule, such as health conditions that would make it difficult or even impossible to wear a mask. Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf says you should also be upfront with the business about any inability. And Carnival is extending its cruise cancellations through the end of September. The cruise line originally hoped to start with a few trips in August, including some out of Galveston, but it's joining the rest of the cruise industry in extending its voluntary pause on trips in North America until September 30th.